Jeff Jarrett's middle name is Leonard?
Jeff? Yeah, okay, yeah.
I didn't know that until about 20 minutes ago.
Is that your intro today? Is that what you've got?
I'm sorry, why are you not impressed with the fact that Jeff Jarrett's middle name is Leonard?
Big shout out to Big Jeffy Leonard on this Friday morning.
And if you're not sure how to spell it, it's L-E-O-N news. The Fiend's next WWE feud has potentially been revealed. We have the reason why Brock Lesnar has moved to Raw, and it's not just because of the belt. And what was supposed to happen at the end of the Trent match on AEW Dynamite? We'll tell you in a bit. So tonight, Bray Wyatt makes his fledgling appearance on SmackDown with the Jam Belt. It can't be the Jam Belt forever, can it? They've got to recolor it or make a belt made of Seth Rollins' skin or...
Already reports are circulating. There was a belt company, I think it was Top Rope Belts, made a custom Bray Wyatt WWE title. Even before he had won the thing, they released that on Christmas Day, I think 2-3 years ago.
Oh.
But more have been circulating, more sort of, some of them are fan pictures, some of them are rumoured new belts. It's going to be like an Evil Dead Book of the Dead skin thing.
Oh, I love that so much.
Even Bray's teasing it on Twitter.
We're going to see a really, really cool belt, hopefully tonight on SmackDown. And we could be leading into a brand new feud for The Fiend, if anything is to be believed from the lineup in Mexico.
That's right. So, Mexican house show coming up, and the match that's been announced is a steel cage match between the Fiend Bray Wyatt and, drumroll please, The Miz.
Ooh.
So, I think this is very likely. Sometimes they do just do the odd match at a house show, sure, but very often they use house shows to get the guys to practice. Essentially, yeah.
We talked about this on the podcast this morning, how Hogan and Flair, back in the early 90s, they ran that as a house show trip to see whether they blended together. For whatever reason, it didn't work and they didn't do it, which is madness when you look back. But so it's very common that they will put matches out there just to test the waters.
Yep, and one sort of thing that reinforces the idea that these two are going to be feuding is because, of course, we had the mess of a SmackDown. One of the advertised segments for that was the Fiend appearing. It was Bray Wyatt appearing on Miz TV, which is perhaps it was there to set up. Maybe he was going to claw Miz or something like that, and then we get a little feud. It doesn't bode well for the Miz. Let's face it, this one.
No, how do you feel about the Fiend and the Miz?
They're sort of. I know the Fiend is a heel. He does heel, but he's so cool and everybody loves him. The Miz is babyface. It's babyface versus babyface. I don't think this is going to necessarily do Miz any favours. And perhaps more upsetting is, I would really like to see one more Miz WWE title run. Or the Universal title, world title run, right? And it's not going to happen here, is it?
I don't think it will. I can't see it being. I can't see him beating the Fiend.
At the same time, I'd like to see the Miz hold that gold in when he's heel again.
Yeah, I think that rivalry would probably suit him being a heel more so.
I agree.
But then the thing is, and this is me kind of over fantasy booking this, like, isn't the whole thing with the Fiend like he's like sort of like paying old debts from Bray Wyatt? The whole thing that like if you've hurt us, so we're going to hurt you now. So I'm trying to think if there was ever any history between the Miz and...
Somebody let us know in the comments. I can picture them in the ring together, but there hasn't been a big high-profile feud like this one potentially is going to be.
No, I don't think there is, unless we're going all the way back to NXT.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Huskins the Pig will have something to say about the Miz. So whether we go all the way back there and we have a story arc with Huskins the Pig Boy versus the Miz, that'd be intriguing.
Overall, I'm not sure this is, if it is a feud, if it's going to be his first feud as champion, I'm not sure this is the right choice, but I'm really happy to be proven wrong on that one.
Yeah, it's always nice to be wrong in something like this. Hey, let's see what happens anyway. One person who won't be on SmackDown tonight is Jeff Leonard Jarrett. Did you know his middle name was Leonard?
Tell me more, Thomas. Tell me more.
Jeff Jarrett's middle name is Leonard.
Tell it again.
Jeff Jarrett's middle name is Leonard.
One more time.
Jeff Jarrett's middle name is Leonard. Nothing wrong with the name Leonard. It's a strong name. Do you know what? If that website I saw that on is lies and hokum, this is going to age really badly.
Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia that anyone can edit, including me this morning to Dick with Tom.
Including Adam Leonard Pachiti. No, the one person that won't be on SmackDown tonight is Brock Lesnar, who left SmackDown last week in a segment that was stretched for time purposes, whilst the NXT lads and lasses made their way to the venue off a very, very rushed plane journey.
Still a great promo. That was a solid A from Heyman there.
Only Heyman can do a segment like that where he's told to go out there and stretch and it still makes sense and it still doesn't feel like it's being stretched. Good work from Paul.
1 hour, 57 minutes later, they finally storm the ring.
My client!
Anyway, we have the potential reason that Brock Lesnar has been moved to Raw, and it's not just because he holds one of the big belts, essentially. So, speaking on the After the Bell podcast, Corey Graves said, selfishly, I hate that because Brock has left SmackDown and gone to Raw. He hates it because he's a massive Brock Lesnar fan. He loves calling his matches, love watching what he does, but he has made the choice to stick to the red brand on Monday nights, probably to save Paul Heyman, his advocate, some travel. That would be my guess because Brock is a benevolent human being, if nothing else. What a selfless guy he is.
He is very
all that
selfless.
SmackDown money and he's gone, no! I mean, he's still getting paid an awful lot of money. So it's not the most sort of exciting of reasons, but it's one that certainly makes a lot of sense. Obviously, Paul Heyman is the exec producer of Raw. He's with that show, it means that Paul Heyman doesn't have to travel twice to go to SmackDown.
I think also as well, I mean, there's a great friendship and a business partnership between Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman that's been the case since like the early 2000s. When Brock Lesnar first came into the WWF, he Paul Heyman went over to him and said, look, just you're going to be fed a lot of lies from a lot of people. Just stay in your lane, stick with me, and I'll tell you what's what. And that friendship has stayed ever since then. And also, there's a thing. I imagine there's a part of it where Brock Lesnar would probably feel more at ease working on a show that is being directed by Paul Heyman.
True.
Not that he has an issue with anybody else that runs SmackDown or anything like that, but I guess you just hang out with your mates sometimes, don't you? And moving on to Raw, like it means that not only is Paul Heyman not going to have to fly to the other end of the world on a Friday night, or Thursday night even, but they can now like focus on Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman on Raw.
Agreed. I think that's part of the reason that the pairing between Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman works so well is because it's the most sort of legit feeling managerial role in the WWE for an awful long time because Paul Heyman legitimately does oversee some of Brock's business dealings. It just feels like, that's it, isn't it? It works so well for me. We
have ourselves a bit of an anomaly now in the wrestling world where we have on Monday Night Raw a champion who we won't see very often. And on SmackDown, a champion that we won't see very often wrestling.
That's a bit. It's not making me panic, but it is a concern, isn't it? Because I would prefer to see Bray now positioned as the showcase guy, the guy that comes in and does the match once a month, maybe just at pay-per-views, and never really, like, you don't see him unless it's like a Firefly Funhouse or the odd bit on TV. I don't want to see him every week. I want the real sort of. I want to be thirsty for him, where I'd like to see more of Brock Lesnar because we don't see it, and I know that's really unlikely, and that's frustrating as a fan because we could be in a pretty difficult position with both of the world titles now.
I kind of hope that, in an ideal world, this would mean that the other titles now come to prominence, like the Intercontinental Champion.
We've been saying that for a long time.
I know. And they tried it on Raw. They actually tried it on Raw a couple of times when John Cena was the US champion.
The Open Challenge, fantastic
every week,
stuff.
This is the thing.
Yep.
When Seth Rollins was the IC champion, they defended that, but obviously they have tried it. To mixed bags of success, but at least we now know why Brock is back on Monday Night Raws. Well, it's funny to say he's back on Raw, like he's going to be there a lot.
How long was he on SmackDown, by the way?
Including in-ring time, probably about 9 minutes.
Welcome back, Brock.
On the subject of last week's SmackDown, what a delightful hot mess that turned into, and I mean that in a really positive way. Because from the Saudi Arabia situation, which I'm hoping next week we don't have to say ever, because I'm really tired of saying the Saudi Arabia situation.
2 a year. Plenty of situations are coming, boys and girls.
Oh, blimey. But from that was born like one of the most exciting episodes of SmackDown.
Which actually it feels like the timing was perfect on as well. If they'd done that a week or two later, it'd be like, oh God, we've not got much time for this.
Yeah.
Survivor Series is going to be booked in a rush. I actually think the timing's worked out really well. We have reports on who indeed wrote that episode of SmackDown. So from the Wrestling Observer, with the exception of the first segment, which was a Lesnar segment, which are all a combination of Vince McMahon and Heyman, as well as Lesnar signing off on those. All the other segments, which was basically the NXT invasion, with NXT talent kicking the arse of SmackDown talent in every segment, was largely the brainchild of, one more drum roll please. Time to play the game! It's Big Daddy Full Sail himself. Triple H was the man behind those, and God, they were great.
Yeah, do you know what? And it needed to be Big Daddy Trips behind it, because you're using the NXT guys. I'm glad it was someone like him who was directing those segments to get the best out of the people.
I don't want to say anything too controversial here, Tom, but I sort of feel that maybe, just maybe, Triple H is a little bit better at this than Vince McMahon is now. Maybe. What do you think? I've not seen any of you say that before, but no, it was great. Like NXT this week as well, just a fantastic show.
The one issue that NXT has had is that it's a phenomenal product, but it's been dipping in the ratings to Dynamite because it doesn't have the names. I know that's one of the reasons, in my opinion, it's because it doesn't have the name value. And Jericho mentioned this last week. He was in an interview and he talked about it, and he said how you put AEW on, you see Chris Jericho, you see Cody Rhodes, you see the guy who used to be Goldust, you hear the voice of Tony Schiavone and the voice of Jim Ross, like proper wrestling names, and NXT doesn't have that. So what WWE did it wasn't obviously planned this way for last week, but they made these guys names. Mm-hmm. They put them on SmackDown, they put them on Raw, they put them in. They genuinely couldn't have done any more to make NXT guys look like stars in 2 nights. Adam Cole, if he is not Jack the Jobber's Wrestler of the Week, swear to God, I'm going to bust that guy's ass.
Oh, it's been a good week for wrestling, in fairness.
It really has. Yeah. But like Adam Cole, who has just had 2 belters. He had is he the first guy ever to defend the NXT title in the main event of SmackDown and Raw?
No. Kevin Owens defended it. I saw Matthew tweet this the other day.
But consecutively. In the main event.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
With different people.
Yeah, definitely.
With the middle name Leonard. Very specific.
Right, the Daniel Bryan match was really brilliant. The Seth Rollins match was really good. It wasn't...
Yeah.
Is it Wrestlers of the Week? I'm not going to speculate too much.
That's up to Jack to get that right, unless I bust his ass.
I agree with you. They've done a great thing in putting Finn on NXT. There's a bit of star power.
Yeah.
But also, you're completely right in that, they're making these names. And we've got a story in the next news video coming out about the ratings, and it's good news for NXT, that's for sure.
Oh, very good news. And finalamo, Pac versus Trent ended a bit weird, didn't it, Adam? Look at what you've done to his face, AEW. This is what happens when a finish goes awry. For just £3 a month, you could stop this from happening and give him a warm, comfy bed.
It's hurting. Goodness me! Thank you very much, Leonard. That's right. If you haven't seen the end of the Pac Trent match, it's awkward as hell. So Pac goes up, hits the black arrow. 1, 2. Oh, he got his shoulder up, except he didn't get his shoulder up
at all. Not a single shoulder move.
Definitely not. Jim Ross is on commentary like, oh, what the hell happened here? It's so awkward. So they transition into the brutalizer, and then the Pac wins the match, but Trent, I'm pretty sure, gave himself the Bret Austin passing out spot to make himself look super strong. Instead of just tapping straight away, he goes, I'm like, it's like, okay, that's it. So the Pac won the match. That's the result that they were after, but it didn't go down very well at all.
No.
What was meant to happen, Thomas?
From the Wrestling Observer, the match was supposed to go longer, but there was an issue with a break coming up, because you are obviously at the whims of TV time and such. So the talent got the word that the break was coming up. Pac and Trent went for the ending, which was the Black Arrow. Of course, this is too early. So Bryce Remsburg, the referee, who is a quality referee, sometimes people just make sometimes it goes a bit awry. Bryce Remsburg wasn't clued into the fact that there was a break coming up. So Bryce didn't know this was happening. So he stopped at 2 thinking, well, no, this isn't the finish yet because we've still got ages to go. Hence why then they rolled into the brutalizer and then the match ended there. So it was just a simple matter of a lack of communication to referee Bryce Remsburg. And Bryce is brilliant.
He is great. We all have an off day, don't we?
You know what, we do.
I called a bloke a tosser this morning. he was walking and he shoved me off the pavement and I bloody stepped in a massive big puddle. Called him a tosser. And that was a horrible thing to do on my part. But also, he looked back at me, he was like, what are you doing? It was your fault. So if you're watching this video, I don't know, maybe he's part of the Wrestle Talk contingent or something like that. If you're watching this video, you are a tosser, mate.
Did he ask you to give him a subscribe at the end?
Give it the subscribe.
What's his name, Leonard? News. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/Cultaholic. Lastly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.